Cash One Pawn has the most extensive inventory of any pawn shop in western Montana. Whether you're in the market for firearms, power tools, bows, video game consoles, or sunglasses, Cash One Pawn has the best deals around. And now Cash One Pawn gives you the ability to shop online from anywhere. Make CashOnePawn.com part of your shopping habits. Also make sure to download the Cash One Pawn app. Cash One Pawn, Missoula's premier pawn shop, located on Roller Coaster Road on the way to the Y. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, Bobby Hauck from the Big Sky Kickoff. First of all, just being here, Coach, I mean, sort of the symbol that football season's around the corner. So what do you think? How do you feel?
I always like this because it's kind of the kickoff for me personally, as well as the conference, to getting geared up for the season. You get to this point in the year, everybody who follows college football is starting to get excited for what's about to start. We've all enjoyed a few days off, and we've been ready for the start of the season since the end of June. I mean, our first 15 practices are carded, scripted. All the preseason studies are done. We are ready to go. So we take a little time off, then we come here, and it's zeroing in on time to start. And I think if you're not excited about that, you probably ought to be doing something else.
I always think it's fascinating when there's new coaches in the league, but the last couple years when there's been new coaches in the league, they weren't really new to the league. They just had a new job, right? Whether it's Paul Wolf or Andy Thompson, and now even Brian Wright has been in the league once upon a time, and Tim Plow too. So why do you think that is? Why do you think there's so many good coaches that have been in this league before that make their way back to this league?
Well, it's a good conference, right?
Yeah.
And guys, you guys have been around. There's great camaraderie. There's great competition. Everybody's got good players. Everybody's got good coaches. Week in, week out, it's a test, and I think that's attractive to people. I think that from a coaching standpoint, the new and younger guys, it's a great opportunity for them to cut their teeth as head coaches. And if you look back at the history of this conference, everybody from like Dennis Erickson, Keith Gilbertson, Don Reed. You look at NAU, the people that have coached in this league. You got NFL head coaches with Mike Shanahan, Andy Reid, Brad Childress, go down the list, right? So
Mike Callahan,
yeah, there you go. So this has been a conference where there's been a lot of innovation over the years. There's been a lot of great coaching, and it's really a great competitive place to be a college football coach.
It's also fascinating because at the FBS level, the Power 5 level, the money is it's infiltrated every element of it, whether it's the coaching salaries or the recruiting, the NIL, all these different things. There's, I'm sure, plenty of men in this room that could go chase FBS opportunities, yourself included, but it seems like you guys are here for different reasons. Like Coach Plow was just talking about that. He had opportunities to go be coordinator, maybe in the Pac-12 or whatever, the defunct Pac-12, Power 5. Yeah, I mean, isn't that just depressing?
It is.
But regardless,
the one depressing thing about this time of year this year is we aren't talking about who's going to win the pack.
Exactly. But do you feel like those sort of I don't know if purity is the right word, but it seems like it's more about football than it is about money in this conference, and in the best way.
Well, and you mentioned it it's players and coaches now, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's making decisions, and there are guys in different phases of life. Okay,
yeah,
me being one. I mean, I don't like to admit it, but I'm in the second half of my coaching career. All right, so everybody gets to make their decisions, and there is a lot of financial reward that is beyond the Big Sky Conference, and so everybody's got to make that decision whether you're going to go do that or chase that. But this is a good place to coach from a football standpoint, all right, both competitively, atmosphere, all the different things. And I'm biased, but I think Montana's special, all right? So for those that are involved with our program and the visitors that get to come in and play us at our place, I think it's really a cool deal. So it's a great place for us to play and coach.
When it comes to yourself personally, what has kept you going these last couple of years? I mean, obviously the pursuit of competition and the pursuit of national championships. What else?
Well, for me, it's really about the competition, day to day. I love whatever it is. All right, whether it's playing checkers or playing cards here or whatever. I like keeping score, and I like a winner and loser, and I'm driven by that. And I think it's about the process, the day-to-day preparing, and then in any given week during the season preparing for the game. And, you may think that's trite for me to say that or cliche, but that's how I live.
I love it.
All right, so.
I don't. I actually appreciate when you say that, though, because we talk about this all the time. One of the fun parts about what we do is if you listen, you actually get to get coached by guys that are pretty darn good at coaching. Keep the main thing the main thing. Live your day one at a time. Be where your feet are at. That's good advice for people beyond football.
So I love the prep.
Yeah.
All right, because that leads to Saturdays, which is the exam, right? And we keep score, right? And we want to have one more than the other team on Saturday, and that's what drives us all. So, big picture. That's why the off season's kind of fun. You get to talk about the big picture and what transpired and relive it. But when we're immersed in it, it's about that Saturday, and I think that competition drives everybody. And at our place, I mean, it's demanded. You bring energy, you give effort every day, and you're competitive. And when you do that, you have a chance to win.
Norris now ESPN Radio. Bobby Hauck joining us here live from the Big Sky Kickoff. When it comes to this offseason, how was it different? How would you just describe this offseason, especially given the great run you guys had last year, but also the way they ended it?
Yeah, I would say it wasn't different.
Yeah,
it's college football. There's some seats changing.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just the way it is. We probably haven't had as much of that as others. And,
yeah.
We have quite a few guys back, so that makes things a little more smooth. There's not as much education in terms of our process, and we've got a great group of seniors, and they're empowered to help with that. But our process is our process. We believe in our system, and nothing was different for us.
Our family on our mom's side has a deep Montana history, especially stemming from Butte and Helena. And we are so proud. One of the things we are most proud of is to call ourselves Montanans. At Up Top Clothing, they have Montana-made and Montana-branded clothing for both men and women. Their Montana Till I Die collection is one of my favorite collections anywhere in the clothing world. And you can shop online and get the Montana Till I Die collection and all the other great gear that Up Top Clothing makes delivered right to your doorstep. Visit teamuptop.com, and if you use the promo code Skyline15, you're going to get a discount on all your online ordering. Teamuptop.com, Up Top Clothing, reminding you to take a step back and enjoy the moment. Feature stories I'm working on coming out of this is varying philosophies on developing the offensive line. I think it's interesting the way you guys have gone about it throughout your career, but also when you came back, you said right away, hey, we need to solidify this position. You went out and got some guys that can help you right away. But now it seems like more and more you have some guys in that spot that are back to the way that you used to do it, right? Brandon Casey comes in. Now he's going to be a 4-year starter. Journey Grimsrud, he's working on a bunch of consecutive starts. I know Pamphilop's a transfer, but I mean he's going to be a 4-year Grizz guy by the time he's done. So is that the way that you'd prefer to do it? And if so, why?
Well, that is the way. For a multitude of reasons. One, in recruiting, you have to commit to bringing in offensive linemen because, we can drive around this area, all right, go to every high school. There's a lot of them where we're sitting here, right? We can drive around this area, and we may not see one guy 6'5" to 6'7" that's 250 pounds, right. And there might not that can run and move. So you have to commit to recruiting those guys, and you have to develop them, and you have to have numbers at that position because you can't pretend up there. It's real for those guys, right? And then the other side of it is transfer offensive linemen are like unicorns. If you find one, capture it and study it because they don't exist. All right? There aren't very many of them in the wild.
Right.
So,
especially they come down to this level, right?
I mean, anybody from Pop Warner to the NFL.
Right.
All right. There are a limited number of those guys that can just physically do that job. So you've got to cultivate it. You've got to keep a pipeline of those guys coming. You have to emphasize it, because if you wind up short at that position, you're screwed. All right, you are.
New offensive line coach. So how do you think Joe's done?
I'm excited about Joe. I thought the spring was good. You know, I think that's part of coaching for us all. I mean, this goes back to some conversations with guys like Bobby Bowden and Joe Paterno. All right, they didn't have great turnover in their staffs, but they would move guys position to position to get a little fresh approach, freshen up coaches, freshen up the coaching, and so a little bit of new way, I think, is productive at every position. And I know you're asking me specifically about the offensive line. I thought Joe did a really nice job this spring. He's very passionate about offensive line play, which to me is rewarding just to listen to it, because he is doing what his life's mission is, to be a great offensive line coach. That's what he wants to be, and I think he is.
That's awesome. Bobby Hauck, Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. A couple other ones I wanted to ask you about. At running backs, like when you were growing up, running back was the premier position. And it's still a very important position, but you know, the Walter Paytons and the Earl Campbells of the world, O.J. Simpson, Eric Dickerson, and these guys were.
You grew up watching, right?
I mean, guys that were getting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of carries, you know, per year. Now it seems like no matter how tough you got a couple really tough ones, but no matter how tough they are, you got to have a couple. You got to have it by committee. What do you think of sort of the evolution of the way you manage that position?
Well, a couple things. One, in the old I formation pro set,
yeah.
I mean, it was I, it was pro, it was twins, right, or slot, whatever you want to call it. And those guys were running the power, running the toss, running the lead, okay? And they got their carries, all right, whether that was, 20 or 30 or 35 carries, they would get those carries. But that was kind of it for them, all right? With the evolution of one-back offense, the guys are in a collision of some sort, generally speaking, every play they're in the game. Right. So whether it's protection or carrying the ball, they're in a physical battle. So I think it's really become a highly volatile position. A lot of the players are smaller. I mean, you talked about a couple of guys; those were big men. All right.
Right.
I mean, Earl Campbell's a giant back, 250 pounds or something, right? 260, whatever. So the guys, I believe you have to have depth at that position to hold up. Yeah. Okay. And especially early in the season, I mean, the goal is not to play your best football in September, right? It's to play it in November. In order to do that, you have to have your players too, and that's where if you can stay healthy, you get a better chance of winning at the end of the year. So having depth at the running back position, I think, is highly productive, and I feel really good about our group this year. I think we've got 4 or 5 guys we've put in the game and feel good about having them in there.
One more for our feature stories, and then one more to wrap it up. The other one I think is so fun is, especially at the Montana schools, the guys you can get from these tiny little small towns. And you got a couple that are going to be probably headlining players for you, guys like Ryder Meyer, guys like Jackson Lee. I mean, they come from Class B, Class C schools. Why do you like those guys? Not specifically those guys, but that type of guy, and how are you able to develop them so well? Because you've done it so often throughout your career.
Well, I mean, the baseline's the baseline, right? They have to be good enough athletically to play, right? I think that one thing I like about the Montana kids, especially the kids from 6-man, 8-man, and the smaller 11-man schools, is they've got, if they're athletic enough, they've got such a huge upside. They're multi-sport athletes for the most part, so they've got skill that they've learned from other sports, and then as they learn the game of football, they have a really steep learning curve. They really can achieve, and they generally, most of those guys break in and start out playing the kicking game for us and then evolve through it, and it's fun to see. We've got great affinity for our Montana guys, just being one myself, and we always start there in recruiting. We are the University of Montana, so I think that we should have a a good number of Montana kids on our team. That's just philosophical, and it's always kind of been a great deal. And it's fun to go to small town Montana and see the pride they have in the Grizz when they've got a guy on a roster, or a guy out of their conference, or whatever. So the high school coaches in Montana do a great job. Frankly, pretty amazing job considering the resources they have. And so that's always been productive for us.
Last one for you. Just coming into this year now as the defending Big Sky Conference champions. It's been a little while since Montana was the defending Big Sky Conference champions. So what do you think of that dynamic entering this football season?
Well, I mean, it's not really, for me personally, it's not uncharted territory, but it's always good. You know, I think one of the reasons why we recruit well is guys know we've got a chance to always win a championship at our place. When they walk in the door, they know they've got a chance, and then whether we can do it or not, we'll see. But I like our team. Last year was a lot of fun. We've had a chance to enjoy that, but don't be confused with the fact that we haven't been working trying to get the next one, and we've got as good a chance as anybody to do that this year.
Bobby Hauck, join us now, ESPN Radio. Thanks, Coach.
All right, go Grizz.
Join Town Pump's Pump It Up Rewards Plus program and never pay full price for fuel again.
Save 5 cents on every gallon every day at any Town Pump across Montana.
Plus, earn and redeem points on your favorite in-store items to get free stuff with our clubs.
Stop in and pick up a rewards card. Download the Pump It Up Rewards Plus app today.
Or visit townpump.com/rewards to register and start saving.